Chris, what went into bringing Tarik in to kind of work out? Did you have any hand in that, and what did you see from him when he worked out?
Oh, he did real well. I think that we all worked together. I think it was just kind of one of those deals. I mean, Tarik is close and have the opportunities. He's coming back, just kind of see where he's at. I think we do that with a lot of players. But no, I'm glad that he worked out well, and now just trying to get him going a little bit.
How closely did you kind of keep tabs with him as he was going through a pretty horrific couple of injuries?
Well, I've always, just personally, he means a lot to me. He's such a we know he's a good player, but more importantly, he's a great person, and he's been through a lot. He sustained his injury on a punt return down in Atlanta, so I always selfishly felt responsible for that. And I was so happy just to watch him work out and see him, run and move around, and that's just kind of part of the deal.
You mentioned feeling somewhat responsible. What do you mean by that?
I just mean it happened on a punt return play. So I always feel like that if something happens out there, I'm a part of it, and just what he means, what he meant to us there, and what he means just to me as a person. You never like seeing when a player gets injured, and that was a horrific injury. And the way he's worked and fought to get back to where he's at now, I think it's pretty incredible.
He says you're really, really close. Did you kind of like follow his journey back, kind of personally?
I always knew from other players kind of how he was doing, and if he was going to, try to make the comeback. But like I said, when he got injured in Chicago, I watched his rehab and how he was going through that. So I can still remember where he started at that point, and then to watch him in the indoor the other day work out, it was neat.
If he gets to where he'd like to be in the next however many weeks, where do you see him helping you guys?
That's always tough to say, and I really can't answer that one just because it's such an unknown. I think the one thing that we can always say in the NFL, everything's always changing, and we could have players playing on Monday night that maybe we didn't expect to play, and those type of things. You just kind of roll with it. I think our job right now, I mean, it's really just, I know it's coaching mantra, but just try to win today and get the guys a little bit better today, and then that'll kind of lead itself to wherever it goes. But excited to get him back out on the field and start working with him.
What do you remember about what kind of player he was before he got injured?
Oh boy, well, he was a dynamic player. For us at that time when he caught the punts, he did punts and kicks for us, and really at that time he also was a little bit we were a little bit more selective with him in the kicks. But he stretched the whole field. You had to defend the entire field, and he could start and stop so quick. It was just he was a dynamic player. I think he's the last player with over 400 yards as a punt returner, and it hasn't happened since 18 since he did it. So that just kind of tells you how much field that he was able to use, and that helps a lot of guys out.
What's the most dynamic play you saw him make?
Oh boy. That's a tough one for me to narrow down, to be honest with you. There was, he could create and make something out of nothing. We played in Buffalo, and he took it across the field, and it was dead to rights. Then all of a sudden he stopped, went the other way, stopped again, made a couple other guys miss, and I was on the sideline going, just please stop. And then there he went right around the corner, and it was a dynamic play. I don't know how he got out of it, but he just did. He's a playmaker.
Speaking of returning, Amir seemingly had a couple of mistakes in the return game. How much do you attribute that to him being here for such a short time and maybe not?
I think I got to do a better job coaching it. I know which play you're talking about, and I think we'd all agree on that one. But other than that, I thought that he did a nice job, made the catches that he had to make, and I think I will always say this: when you have a new returner, there's going to always be growing pains, and that's not an excuse. That's just reality. And so hopefully he takes a step forward this week and gets better, and that's on us as coaches to make sure that happens.
There was the one near the 2-minute warning where it seemed like blocking was set up for him to go right, but he kind of had to catch in between traffic. when that happens, is there like an improvisational thing that you have to teach?
I think learned this a long time ago when I was the assistant in Chicago with Hester. Is you always said start the return and then let their instincts take over. He ended up getting 13 yards on that return, so he established our first down, so that was good. I think there's always things that as a player and a coach you go back the next day and say, I wish I would have called this, or I wish he would have done that, and then you learn from that, and then hopefully those mistakes don't repeat themselves.
Chris, it was a historically low kick return percentage for week 1. Is that pretty much what you were expecting? And your thoughts on what you saw in your game, and if you saw anything around the league?
I haven't studied. I'll study around the league stuff tonight. But just with regards to that topic, I'm not surprised right now. I think what happens, especially in probably the first 4 weeks, until really the leaves begin to change, you're going to kind of see that a little bit. I think there's a lot of reasons. Number one, rosters are changing. Guys are coming and going. Guys are, and obviously we're the bottom of the roster, so we're playing those guys, and sometimes just kind of getting the kids' feet wet, and you're hitting them touchbacks and letting them just kind of learn to what it feels like before you get into the cover season a little bit. I'm not surprised by it, and I know there was an article about it. Somebody told me, but I think that's kind of par for the course right now.
You have kind of a unique role where you get to work with almost everybody, right? How do you go about making personal connections with guys?
I think you just try to be yourself. I think that's why you got in. I mean, I got into coaching. I've said it before. God rest his soul, my dad, he was a high school football coach, and I got into it because as a kid, I watched players come back and see my dad. To me, as a coach, it is about relationships and trying to get to know their why, and they understand your why. And then when you have those things and you're working towards one common goal, I think you can make things work. And to me, that's what it's about. All righty. Thanks, everybody. Good to see you. Thank you.